Good evening, everyone. My name is Vinay Patel. I'm the Executive Director of the Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Center. Asian Pacific Islander Cultural Center is one of 7 city cultural centers supported by the San Francisco Arts Commission and San Francisco Grants for the Arts. We have our flagship program, the United States of Asian American Arts Festival, every year, and we have an open call for entries to be part of the festival. So please visit www.apiculturalcenter.org. And there's a lot to talk about here. I want to welcome you all to Angela Han's West of Paradise exhibit opening. A big hand for Angela. This exhibit is actually presented by and sponsored in collaboration with the Asian American Women Artists Association. So big hand. And we're at the historic Manila Town Heritage, and in partnership with the Manila Town Heritage Foundation. So big round of applause for Manila Town. And finally, this is part of a series of dialogues with the Asian American Arts Network of the Bay Area. So that's an organization trying to bring arts organizations, cultural workers to talk about important issues that are affecting the Asian American artists and Asian American arts organization community. We'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. As guests, we recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. As cultural workers on this sacred land, we are committed to supporting the traditional and contemporary evolution of the American Indian community. I want to thank the San Francisco Arts Commission for helping write that land acknowledgement and for allowing us to share that with you. The funders of this program are the California Art Council, the San Francisco Arts Commission, San Francisco Grants for the Arts, and the San Francisco Office of Economic and Workforce Development. I really want to thank the staff at Middletown Heritage Foundation for opening up their home to let this space be our home. And with that, I want to introduce Jabril of Manila Town.
Hello everyone, my name is Jabril. I'm one of the staff here at Manila Town. I'd like to personally welcome you all to the International Hotel Manila Town Center. We are run by a nonprofit called Manila Town Heritage Foundation. Our main, if you're new to the space here, this is the historic site of what is essentially the starting of the housing rights movement here in San Francisco and essentially worldwide, because after the events that took place here, fighting a almost 10-year battle against illegal eviction, the laws and policies were changed in the city to protect tenants' rights, and we know we're all still facing that today. But also, we strive to be a community center focused in the arts and culture sector, and we open as Vinay said, we open our space to community, and so that we can have relevant programs. And if you're interested, you can follow manilatown.org for other programs and events that we do. So yeah, I just wanted to welcome you all for being here and taking the time to be in community here with us today.
Hi everyone, my name is Diana. I work for the Asian American Women Artists Association. I'm the director there. I'm so thankful to API Cultural Center and Manila Town for hosting us here. AWA, our mission is to advance the visibility and recognition of Asian American women in the arts. And we do that through our exhibitions, through our programs, and through our membership. Over the course of our 33 years, we're going on 35 years right now. We've hosted over 50 exhibitions. And so when Caroline reached out to us asking us to fill the walls of Manila Town with some visual art, I thought it'd be a great idea to do some rotating shows for some of our artist members. And we had the honor of working with Angela through APIC's United States of Asian America Festival this past year. And we thought through her Realms of Courage composer series, this would be a great fit for her. And because of Angela's background in music too, like this is a fitting space.
I know.
Yeah.
Right next to the piano.
Right next to the piano. Yeah, and this is also part of AWA's efforts to provide more opportunities for Asian American women in the arts. It's not often that we get to see solo shows by and featuring an Asian American women artist. So this is a special moment that y'all are partaking in, and we hope we can create this beacon for other folks in the community in the future. And a lot of this would not be possible without our staff and dedicated volunteers. We got Melanie here doing the live stream. Ivy, who I don't think she's here yet, but she will be. She's our membership coordinator. Kat, who put up all the artwork. Yeah, Kat, thank you, Kat. And then our volunteers who are here tonight, Jasmine, who's doing some social media, Jenny and Sarah and Diana. So thank you all. Give a round of applause. Yeah, it takes a whole village to put on an exhibition. So yeah, and if you'd like to support AWA's future shows like this, exhibitions, and more Asian American women artists, there are 3 ways you can do that. One of them is by becoming a member. You don't have to be an Asian American woman artist, but we definitely welcome you if you are, of course. But it's open to everyone, including Asian American women artists, and then anyone who identifies as an art professional as an affiliate, and anyone who identifies as an art supporter. So that's one way you can support, is by becoming a member. There's also our end of year fundraising campaign, which we're doing until December 31st, and we're hoping to raise $30,000 before the new year. And part of those efforts involve putting on this annual auction, which behind you there is a full TV screen full of amazing artwork, products, and experiences by Asian American women artists and business owners. So please check that out. Scan the QR code. You can also win a play date with Winnie, the dog, who is here tonight. She's in her carrier right now, but she'll come back out. But that also comes with a membership for AWA. So I think those were all the 3 things. Without further ado, I'm so glad AWA can partner with APIC through the Asian American Arts Network of the Bay Area for this convening. And I'm really excited to pass the mic off to Angela, our featured artist tonight, who's going to share some stories behind her work and integrate it with some discussion questions for today. So give everyone a round of applause for Angela.
Hello? Oh, can everyone hear me? Okay. I have a naturally loud voice, so I'm always afraid my mouth's near the microphone. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Angela Hahn. I feel incredibly honored to be here for this solo exhibition, for this event. I want to start off my whole presentation with a huge round of thanks. Diana said it takes a whole village. I feel incredibly supported right now and through the past several weeks.
Thanks to AWA, Asian American Women Artists Association. I have 44 paintings on this show. And for the past 2 days, I'm an artist, musician, and a teacher. I've had to teach, and the AWA team has meticulously installed every single one of these paintings. They have promoted my work. They have done above and beyond to make sure that I feel seen and heard in San Francisco and beyond. So if we could all give a huge round of applause to AWA. I hadn't seen the workup prior to coming in today, and the moment I did, I cried. Because it was just so beautiful to know that there are people in the community who genuinely care about my work. And if more Asian American women artists feel this way, I can imagine them going to whatever heights they wish to go. So thank you, AWA. I also want to thank APIC so much for your support. It was such an amazing experience working with them for the Utah Festival. which, by the way, they do have an open call right now for their next festival, which is the 26th festival, United States of Asian American Festival. So if you're a creator, you have an idea, project, apply. And the deadline is November 27th. Oh, I got it, okay. November 27th. So please apply and support ASIC. So another round of applause for I had entered the space, I think, last spring, and I was so floored by just the access we have in this building. It's like a museum, it's an art gallery, and you have a piano. I'm a pianist. So I was like, this is so perfect. And so being here at iHotel and knowing its history, I couldn't imagine a better place to host, put on my first official solo show. So thank you so much, Manila Town Row. Caroline, I know Caroline isn't here, but thank you, Caroline, for this opportunity. Thank you, Jabril, for being here. It's so hands-on, so a round of applause for and Ayla, I want to acknowledge Diana, Kat. We have a Diana Chen here, like Jasmine, Ivy, Melanie, I'm not forgetting anyone, please. Jenny and Sarah, right, like, you know, you're far away over there. And then Apex, Benet, Melanie, and then, Jabril. And I want to thank my family, my Dr. Han, and Dr. Hu, the beautiful Mochi, my sister, Allie, and then Matt, who is and Teresa for documenting this event, and for all my beloved friends who have come here tonight. I've missed you so much, and I'm so glad that we get to share this time together. Without further ado, I'm going to launch into my storytelling. If I had it my way, and it wasn't, if I didn't have to introduce myself as an artist, a musician, and an educator, I would call myself a world builder, a treasure hunter, and hopefully like a vagabond bard storyteller. Growing up, I've always been so involved with building a magical world from my imagination. I think when we feed our imagination, we believe, at least I believe, that creativity is.
So I applied that in my real life, and the results are actually really magical. You feel like you can do anything. I feel like I can do anything. I feel like whatever comes my way, I'll have the right solution to overcome it or make something better out of it. A distinct memory I have growing up is we loved to go to Disneyland when I was a little girl. And does anyone know the Small World ride? It's Small World after all. I remember I was 7
Where the trees were, like all the strollers are parked, and I just watched. And I wish my parents could explain to me. But I'm sure I wasn't lost and they weren't worried. I would just watch as the characters would come out and the music, you know, right, and the structure was just absolutely powerful. And I was thinking to myself as a 6, 7-year-old, saying, I want to do that. I want to create. And then on top of that, we loved Studio Ghibli growing up, and so we watched Kiki and Howl's Moving Castle and Totoro, and I remember again thinking, oh, I want to do that too. And I want to create a world that makes me feel celebrated and happy and safe, but also want to invite other people in, because it's a party when it's like that, when you have like people believing in that world. So I decided to bring that to life in the painting you see here. Everything you see is my imagination come to life. And it's particularly poignant because it was created from 2020 to 2022. This was during the pandemic. So when 2020 hit,
something. So I decided that I was going to create everything and anything that was percolating within my imagination. So if we think about when you come in through the door, you see the first series, it's called Serpents of Chaos. Though the first painting was created in 2020. And that series was inspired by all these emotions that came from the pandemic. The uncertainty, the chaos, but within that chaos is a lot of potential for bringing something completely marvelous to life. And so I thought that by creating these serpents of chaos, I was tapping into that chaos and making it mine. Like the pandemic wasn't going to own me, the uncertainty wasn't going to own me. I was going to create something marvelous, and anything in the world can happen, and I was going to make sure that I myself chose the path that I wanted. Like anything else can happen in the world, but with creativity, I knew that I had a set direction. Does that make sense? Like anything else can happen in the world, but I knew that as long as I created and brought my world to life, that was an absolute certainty. Moving forward, if you look behind the Serpents of Chaos, I decided to dedicate my life during 2020 to raising awareness about women in music. So I grew up playing the piano, and I am a Chinese American woman, and I didn't always get to play music. I think I ever did growing up by someone who looked like me. Now, I tell this to my students that it's not because Asian American women composers don't exist, it's because our education system isn't talking about them enough. There are many, many of them, and guess what? If you look carefully at the last panel, you will know 15 before you leave today. So 2020 was the year I dedicated myself to raising awareness about composers who are women. You'll see the small paintings are from my series, 50 Mythical Worlds, inspired by 50 women composers. I didn't meet these composers, but I was certainly inspired by their masterpieces. This led me to want to tap and get the project going more. Maybe I can interview these women. Maybe I can meet them, because they're all living composers. They're all composers of today. What was serendipitous was that around the same time I joined AWA. I joined the Asian American Women Artists Association, and at the same time the world was, the world was burning here in California, and you walked outside and the sky was orange. And so I created the series, The 9 Gardens of Water. You see, they look like these waves. And they're inspired by the 9 legendary dragons from Chinese mythology. And for those, I started to weave together music and mythology. And I decided to do that even more after becoming an associate teacher, a third grade associate teacher at one of the schools here, the Hamlin School in San Francisco. So we got some representation from Hamlin tonight, so thank you. And when I was teaching the students, I realized they were coming in with books that were so amazing, right? We all grew up with Greek and Roman mythology. Yeah, like this is what we really loved, going to the American libraries here. But I also grew up with Chinese stories, and those weren't necessarily represented in the books that the students would bring in. I mean, it was all fun and games, but I'm like, not all of them should be. They shouldn't just know Greek and Roman mythology. The students who identify and who don't identify as, for example, Chinese American or Indian American should know that their story is also heard in the US. So I started a book tasting program, which you know, and I would bring in books inspired by mythologies from around the world, and the student just ate it up. They had a 10-book challenge, and they completed it. Every single one, I think it was like 18 students, and that motivated me to continue with using my artwork to amplify Chinese mythology. So you'll see that in the Shan-Shui paintings in the middle, and I'll be using that one as a storytelling launching off point. And then I'm just going to go to the Realms of Courage, celebrating Asian women composers paintings, which is on this wall here on the back. They're cool circular convex paintings that I was like, I need these. And in fact, I needed them so much that I bought out the store. There are to be 135 of those circular paintings. There are 15 composers who identify as Asian American. One of them's here. Teresa Capotura. She's one of the composers, and I'm not sure if Julie Zhu is here. Julie Zhu is here, and then I'm not sure if Jean On, but these are composers who have completely changed my life. There are 15 of them, and each of them, I will create 9 of these circular paintings. 9 times 15, 135. You are seeing the second set today at the solo show. I want to transition to talking about community through those paintings. I interviewed these composers multiple times over the course of the last year. I have to mention that the Realms of Courage Celebrating Asian Women Composers Project is funded by the San Francisco Arts Commission and by APEC. And I decided to do this project because I wanted to see myself. I wanted to see that I could become a phenomenal creator, both in the music world and in many other worlds, because all these composers aren't just musicians or composers. They are archaeologists, they're chemists, they're writers, they're actresses, they're everything they want to be, and they have told me through their music, through their lived experiences, that if you truly want to be a master of what you do, you live your life. You live life and you have all these experiences, and you just do everything. So whoever said jack of all trades, no, that's not the secret. You want to do everything in order to become a master. So one of the interview questions I asked them was, this was very important, and I recorded this, it was, we all want a supportive community, right? It's like when you think about what kind of community you want, you think of the word support. But very rarely do we talk about, what does the support even look like? What is it? And so I asked each of them, if you were to build your own community, a supportive one, what would that look like? What would that be? And they gave me so many amazing answers that I didn't even think about accessibility. If you're not from here in the US and you want to, let's say, compete in a competition that's art related or music related, you might not be able to do that because you're not a citizen and you don't have like a green card or a visa. And you think like, wow, people come here to the US for opportunities, and that might not be a thing. That's like, that should not happen. If you're here and you're feeling like you want to be supported, please make sure like whatever project you do reaches to the far corners as much as you can for the people who really, really want it. Other things include financial backing, because money is always very good, especially for the arts. And another example is emotional support. We need people to tell us your work is valued. We need people to tell us that our work matters and that there are people in the world who want to see it. So if you have an artist friend or a creator, please tell them that, because that will enable them to continue the next day and create the next day and to continue going forward. So I'm going to start with the storytelling now, because we talked about community, and now we're going to talk a little bit about what we think a supportive community should be. So, are people ready?
Yeah.
So here's the format. I will start telling a story. I'm probably going to sit down and drink a little bit. I will tell a story, and then I will stop at a certain point and ask you what you want the story to be, how to move forward, or how you want it to end. And if you're feeling particularly, like a leader in this group and you want to share, please raise your hand. Everyone has an imagination, youth to adults. There is no wrong answer, there's only a creative one. So I will start. Okay. Oh, I'm good. I'm always afraid of feedback, because I'm the type of person that if I move it, it will have feedback. Okay. Okay, so So let's talk about why I set up this space, the artwork like this. It looks like an eye, right? There's a reason why I have the shan shui paintings in the middle, and why I called the solar show a West of Paradise. So in Chinese mythology, and also historically, the West always symbolized a realm of the unknown. It was a very, very difficult territory to travel around. And so when things are difficult, it becomes a mystery because people don't know what's on the other side. And therefore, the unknown becomes a place of extreme power. So that is where the most powerful deities in Chinese mythology would reside, because it was inaccessible. And one of the most powerful deities is a goddess called Xi Wangmu, the Queen Mother of the West. And she lived on top of this mountain called Kunlun the Kunlun Mountains. And it reached from deep within the earth into the sky, and you didn't know where it ended. But it was a place of, they had trees dripping with jewels. They had a lake of gems. That was where she would tend to her very rare and very precious trees of immortality. The fruit was an apple, in Greek mythology, it was like apple of knowledge. And the Chinese culture, peaches are the thing. Peaches symbolizes longevity and immortality. And so she would tend to these trees that would grow, and it took 3,000 or 6,000 years to actually have the trees bloom with the peaches. So very valuable, very precious. You don't want to ruin the garden. But that, where she lived was, like I said, inaccessible, and it wasn't welcome to everyone you can't just climb up it and be like, yeah, I'm good. You had to earn it. So the Kunlun Mountains served as a ladder between earth and heaven. So I put that panel right there to symbolize that is a ladder between 2020 and 2022. If you were lucky enough to climb up that ladder, you just might be invited to her banquet. The Queen of the West likes to party, so at least in my interpretation. Keep in mind, this is my interpretation of these myths. And she would host a banquet. She would host a banquet every year on her birthday, and she would invite the 8 immortals to come dine with her. And she would serve them the peach. So if you were lucky enough to get onto the mountain and sit with her at her table, she just might serve you a peach of immortality. Now here's my question to you. Let's think of peaches not as symbolizing immortality, but as something you really, really want. And in this case, let's start with this. Let's do with some role play, just for yourselves. What is something in your life that is inaccessible to you now, but you really, really want? Like if you can sit with the Queen Mother of the West, and she's coming out with her plate, what would be on that plate? Is it something physical? Is it something emotional? Is it something that doesn't exist yet? So just give you a moment to all think of that. We all have something in our heads? Okay. Now, I'm going to ask us to hold on to that thought. And now think about, in terms of community, how would you get the thing that you need with the help of other people? If you had support from other people, what does that support look like? A thing you really want. It could be anything, but if it wasn't just you who had to obtain it, and you had a whole group of people, and it doesn't matter how many, people backing you, and going towards that same goal, how would you all do it? And how would that feel? You can everyone think about that. Now, I'm going to ask a brave soul if they would like to share that one thing that they really, really want. If they could have it served to them, like almost given, what would that thing be, that peach? And if you had this incredible amount of support, what would that look like? So if you would like to share, you just raise your hand, I suppose. Just raise your hand. Kind of a vulnerable question. Oh, here, I'll go first. As an Asian American artist, what I would see on that platter is success not just for me, but for all the women who look like me. And the way I see that happening is, yes, we're working together as a community of artists who identify as Asian American women artists, but we also need the support of people, loved ones, organizations. We need the support of cultural value and policy to lift us up, to make sure that we feel seen and heard. So if I can ask you a less vulnerable question about you and move it towards the conversation about how do we support AIPI women artists, what can we do? What can we do to make sure that women like me are much more seen and heard in not just the arts community, but like, I'm talking about museums and galleries, but day to day, like, day to day. Anyone want to pitch an idea? My sister.
Go to their shows and talk about them to your friends.
Yes, word of mouth, that's great. The first piece of advice. And thank you to all the friends you invited tonight. Appreciate it. So yes, word of mouth, visibility. I'm sure we can think of some other. If you have Asian, perhaps it's easier to think about if you have Asian American Pacific Islander friends, how do you go about supporting them? How about reframe the question if you're looking at the next generation of AAPI creators, what would you want them to have?
Just a space to explore their creativity, creating space for them, letting them take up space.
Yes. Yes. And I want to add to that, like allowing them like the freedom to do whatever they want in that space, right? Because if you're from an Asian background, you know that it's not always the case that you can just do anything you want in the space that's given to you. So thank you so much for sharing. What is your name? David, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What else for if you think about the next generation of creators? Because this also applies to the creators of today.
I would love to see an all-Asian feature takeover of art news juxtaposed and all Asian diasporic women in those major magazines, cover to cover.
Oh, yes. Yes, take it more space. And I have to say that you really hit the nail on the head with that, because when we think about education and what it's about what we're exposed to, right? And with, for example, my work at Realms of Courage, and having the artwork amplify the musicians and composers' work. That's getting that, like, I'm trying very hard to get the painting into the public's faces so that people can see and learn about them. And so having that visual, I was like, let's all just take over the museums too. Although the De Young and the Legion of Honor and the SF MoMA, like places, Google even, because I had to dig very deeply. I had to be very specific in my searches to even come across these phenomenal women who are very well known in their field, very accomplished, like incredible. And if you type in composer in Google search, you will see the Beethoven and Brahms and all the dead white men. So, and that should not be the case. And it should not be the case when we're looking at contemporary composers and we have to dig to page 5 of Google search to find these incredible creators. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to add anything before I move on to the next story? How are we feeling? Just I'm a teacher, so I'm always like body break, or like what's the my students used to, we had to move around the room, but everyone's okay. Okay. The next story is a story that gets me out of bed every morning. And when I'm going through an incredibly tough time, or just even, this story helps me when I don't know what the end result is going to be. And I know I still have to do something. It's like, I think of the story when I'm embarking on this new project or this new series or doing something I know I'm going to look very foolish at, and I don't know how it's going to end. And I think of this story and then I'm like, I'm going to do it. It's just the action that counts. And this story is about a character named Jean Wei. And again, these are interpretations of myths on my part. And please excuse me, I do speak Chinese Mandarin, but when I get excited, my pinyin can get a little funny sounding. So this is about a character named Jin Wei. And Jin Wei was like, your everyday child. Like her father, though, was the head honcho of Heavens. And her father, though, would read her bedtime stories. And I remember I liked bedtime stories. It was my dad and my mom would tell me stories. And so I identified with Jin Wei and her curiosity and her eagerness to learn more about the world. And so her father would tell her about this faraway place. It was absolutely magnificent, and it was a paradise. And he would tell her story after story every night. And so much so that one day she was like, Dad, I'm going to paradise. And this was when she was older. And her dad's like, no. no, you can't do that. And she's like, what? And to get to paradise, there's this huge ocean, this huge sea that separated Jin Wei from her home to paradise. Has anyone seen Frozen? Yeah, Frozen. You know when Elsa just spoiler alert, but she like tries to cross the ocean and just like it's just a big mess. It's something like that where it's unattainable, right? And so because it was unattainable, Jin was like, I'm going to do it anyway. I really want it. And so I imagine she's a teenager. She tells her dad, like, okay, that's fine. Like, okay, Dad, no, don't worry about me. I'm not going to go. And then that night, she takes a little rowboat. She said, okay, I'm going to set out for paradise. She gets herself in the little rowboat. And she starts rowing towards paradise. Like, she's tiny compared to this big ocean. And now, the ocean is an element, right? It does have character, and its character is to be unpredictable. And so the ocean doesn't care, the sea doesn't care, like if you're going to paradise or not, like, it just is, and it likes to consume. So as Junwei's rowing towards paradise, she's unaware that the sea has started to brew a storm. And the storm gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and she starts to feel that the wind kicking up, and I really want to go. I'm going to Paris. I don't care what, like, I can power through this. Anyone been there is like, I don't care. I'm not going to take care of myself. This is it. I'm just going to power through. I'm going to get to my goal. And so she continues to push through the winds, and what ends up becoming lightning and raining and storming. And then all of a sudden, a wave towers over her and engulfs her. And this is where I'm going to ask you, what happens next? What do you want to have happen next to our Junwei? I'll tell you what happens later. But only if, like, some of you decide to use your imaginations a bit and share.
She finds a new world under the sea.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. She finds a new world. She finds Atlantis. Like, that'll be great. Oh, that's good. Thanks, Julie.
And there she finds a friend or community to help her out.
Oh, that's good too. Oh my gosh, that's good. Wait, what if it's like she like creates like a palace or whatever down like there? She becomes like queen of under the sea, and then this is great. Anyone wants to continue that? Friend's friend under the sea, supporting her, lifting her up. Anybody else? Just one more before I tell you what actually happens.
I was gonna say they make a boat together.
And then they go to paradise.
Yeah.
Oh, and then so she makes it. Okay. Anyone else?
And like they build this whole boat, and then on the last day she was like, wait, what was the name of the city? And they're like, oh, we're in paradise.
Oh, that's great. Wow. We should write, I'm going to write that story down. That's great. No, thank you. That actually reminds me, if you haven't read this yet, it's called The Conference of the Birds, and it's a Persian poem, and it's about, I won't ruin it, but it's essentially who you're looking for, what you're looking for is yourself, or it's already there. You have to go through the journey to get to that boat and realize you're in paradise. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, but I'll tell you now, thank you, everyone, and thank you for all of you for, exercising your imaginations with me. I'll tell you what happens according to the tale. Now, mythology, you can always reinterpret it in whatever way you want. I'll tell you what happens now. So, storm, the sea engulfs her, and the weight of the waves is so strong that it begins pulling her and her little boat down into the depths of the sea. But Junwei's spirit, even as her life force is leaving her, is so strong. She's like, I didn't get my dream yet, and I refuse to give that up until I get to it. So her spirit is so strong that it bursts forth from her and careens to the ocean and up into the sky, and it takes on the form of a bird. And it's a small bird, but it's a fierce one, and I like to think of it as a bright golden bird. Small, because I'm fun-sized, but very fierce. And she takes this, this ferocity, she has all these emotions, and she's like, I didn't get to paradise, and this ocean stopped me from getting there, and now I have another goal. I do not want anybody else having to go through what I just had to go through. I do not want anyone else to experience what I just had to experience. And I can relate to that. with all these events in the world right now, I think when we tap into our compassion, that when we go through hardship, and have gone through that, we wish that hopefully we were the only ones to be, and we were the ones to be the last to have to go through that, and that the next generation or your loved one or this whole community won't have to go through the same sort of hardship or suffering. So she has all this rage and like conviction, but also this compassion and this empathy. She flies to the Western Cliffs and she creates a home there. And the next day, she takes a pebble from her cliff, she flies all the way to the Eastern Ocean and drops it. Boom. She goes back. Next day, she takes a twig, flies all the way over to the Eastern Ocean, drops it, and flies back. Third day, she does the same thing. She takes a piece of bark, flies over, and because she can't carry that much, she's small, and she pops the bark. And at this point, the ocean's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? Why are you throwing pebbles at me? And Jingwei says, you interfered with my dream, and I'm going to make sure you pay. But also, I don't want anyone to have to go through what I had to go through. And so the ocean's like, huh? She's like, and then Jingwei is like, I'm going to fill you up with all the pebbles in the world, all the twigs, all the pieces of bark, until everyone is safe. And at this, the ocean starts laughing, like, you're not going to fill me, this magnificent, like, expansive ocean, with twigs and pebbles, and it's going to take you 1,000,000 years. And at this, Jingwei doesn't hesitate. She immediately claps back and says, it'll take 1,000,000 years, maybe it'll take 10 million years, maybe it'll take like 100 billion years. I don't care. I'm not giving up. I'm going to fly every day and drop a pebble until my dream comes true. What I want is achieved. And think about that. That's like an impossible task, right? But what I love most about the story is her conviction, her resilience, and her perseverance. She doesn't think that it's not going to happen. She thinks, I'm going to make this happen. And she takes steps every single day to continue that journey of hers. And so, the next question is, what is something in your life that you're willing to do, to strive for each and every day, not knowing if you're ever going to get it? And then my next question is, what does it take, maybe emotionally, maybe physically, just, or maybe with other people, what does it take let me rephrase the question. What can motivate you to do that every single day? To pursue something, and pursue it wholeheartedly, but not know if you're ever going to get it. So what can be a motivating force? So we put that in the present day context. What AWA and APIC and Manila Tower are doing, we're striving for the fulfillment of our missions, right? And we don't always know if we're going to see that happen in our lifetime, right? Is it still worth doing? I think yes. I think that if my solo show could somehow inspire the next generation or the next person to continue this, passing the torch, I've done my work. But what can we do to support these organizations, to support these artists so that they do take another step the next day. So that, because it's hard, right? If you don't know you're going to get it, why do it at all? I think we all have that in our heads, but it's important. And so how can we support organizations like AWA, APIC, the Middletown Heritage Foundation, and the artists and the creators that they, that they bolster? How can we support them? Opening this up to you. Oh, yes, Teresa.
I'm thinking like celebrating the small things, like every little advance, like I think that's really motivating for me, like celebrating the small things in life. I feel like the advancements are that are important to you or your heritage or what motivates you.
That's so true. Yes.
And, yeah.
I think we all should put that into like a motto or mantra and hang it up somewhere. Because I think we have to remind ourselves that when we have those small accomplishments, it actually stacks up, right? It stacks up into this big thing. I think there was a saying in Chinese where water can drip. Mom and Dad, you might have to help me. And water drips, but it's like one drop, right? But over time, it's powerful enough to erode rock. There's a Chinese idiom to this, and I don't know it, and I'm looking at Mom and Dad. Anyway, but yes, that's,
That makes sense.
thanks so much, Teresa. I think I saw another hand. Yes, Stephen?
I would say just showing up consistently. I find that community oftentimes just comes from continuing to have exposure to people around you. Yeah, just enjoying the tourist building together.
Oh yeah, the like building family.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I have a huge family right now. I think it's not too smushy to say when you feel loved and cared for that that you're, at least for me, I'm okay with taking more risks, knowing that even if the safety net isn't always money or like things like that, that someone will catch me and be there if I'm crying, like, I don't know if this is gonna work, or like being angry that like, I just destroyed my painting, or like both of you said, Teresa and David, share the immense joy of like, I did it. Thank you so much. Anybody want to add before I check in again with my teacher-esque?
I have an answer.
Oh, yes. Oh, pardon, I totally should be.
It's all good. Doing something uncomfortable or hard, or learning to do something uncomfortable or hard, knowing that it will support others.
Mm-hmm.
That is one thing that I learned from volunteering, from learning the skills. Like for me, like I work in a nonprofit. I did not want to learn how to write grants. I was like, I do not want to do that. Never make me do that. Now, but then realizing that will support more artists, that will support more spaces like this, I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do it. And I'm actually quite good at it now, so there you go.
Yes, woo! And I see these, like, oftentimes we don't believe in ourselves, because sometimes it's hard, right? But if we believe in someone else, like, and I think human beings are, at least I believe, we're very good, and we're very good at hearing someone else's cry for help and like stepping up to that. So, thank you so much, Melanie. Can I have a time check? I know I can go.
8:01.
Oh, okay. I've gone for ages. But how are we doing? Oh, I have a, oh, this is great. So as a piano teacher, when my students are a little bit like, they don't want to talk to you now, I asked them to do a thumb toggle. So I'm like, how are you doing? This, or this? Or maybe it's somewhere like this. Is everyone okay? If you need more food, water? Okay, then I'll move on to the last and final story, and then I'm going to hand it back to Diana. The last story is about the goddess Nuwa, and I have to tell you a side thing because I think this is really cute and cool. This is a very much side thing, but so Nuwa is sometimes considered to be like, this might sound a little bit strange, but part of her character includes like, I think the character for snail, like, because the spiral of the snail is like everlasting, like infinite. And I love the Chinese language, and I wish I was so much better at it, because it's so magical and poetic. So when you say like snail in China, like in English, you're like, oh, a snail. But in Chinese, the way you say it is called wo niu, and the wo is like a little, it's like your nest, it's like your bed. It could be like your, Winnie's nest, the doggy's nest, or like, your blankets. It's like a place where you feel safe and warm. And then niu is cow. So it's a little cow in a little home. You think about it, you're like, oh wait, that's totally a snail. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. I think it's really cute and cool. So when I think about the goddess Nuwa, I think about how she has created a home, because she's considered one of the creator goddesses. She made human beings from clay, and molded them. She's quite the artist. So I imagine her with the snail analogy, and she's created a home for all of us. And she's actually one of the few deities who actually cared about Earth, because she put in the effort to create this magnificent place for us. So in this story, it's called Niwa Bu Tianxia, right? Mom and Dad, maybe? It's Niwa mends the sky, and translated. And what happens is this. Two of the gods up there have a conniption, and it's the fire god and the water god, and they're like, I'm better or whatever. And they just start throwing shots at each other, and it's very aggressive, and they decide to have it all out. It's like a big brawl. And now when the deities, when the divine ones have a fight, they don't care what happens to other people. It's like, other people are just collateral damage. And so they're fighting in our world and on Earth. And they're damaging our home. And now the other gods and goddesses and deities are like, ew. And so they're either like out in one year, out the other, or like, I don't see it. I'm a bystander. It's not happening. Or they're contributing to the fighting. So they're taking sides, and they're just making things worse. And it's very destructive. It's so much so that they smash a hole in the sky. So now the sky is falling, and they break one of the pillars. And if you can think about paradise, the Kunlun, it's a pillar. They break one of the pillars, and everything's just about to fall to pieces. So our Earth is at that point in the story at a very critical point. It could continue or it could not continue. And literally the only deity that cares is Nuwa. She's looking down and she's like, what are you doing to this home I've created? And she, first of all, in my magic, she like confronts the two gods who are being childish and says, no, like, go back to your room or something. Go and you're grounded. And she, I have to do something about this. And again, it comes from a place of compassion. It comes from a place of empathy. And because she's such an artist, she uses her creativity to come up with a solution. So first she has to figure out, oh my gosh, there's a hole in the sky, like thunder, lightning, all the snow, everything's coming down and pouring, like it's affecting very negatively the lives of the human beings I've created and cared about. And so she says, okay, I have to come up with something. And she sees that there are 5 stones on Earth, and they're all of different colors. Now, in Chinese mythology, the 5 most powerful colors are red, it's yellow, blue or green, white, and black. And in fact, if a creature or a deity had all 5 colors, that means they're most powerful. Okay. And so she's like, okay, I'm like, let's have to make this, I have to glue it. She's just doing crafts. She's like making arts and crafts, and grinds the stones and mixes them into a paste and patches it into the sky. And so, phew, the hole is fixed. Now, the next thing is the pillars. The support system of Earth has crumbled. What would you do? How would you fix? The Earth is like, the sky doesn't have a hole, but everything is still coming down. It's like chaos. Maybe it's, what do they call it? Apocalypse. Or something like that. What would you like Nuwa to do? Remember, she's a deity. You can go and run with it. She's all these powers. But what would you like for her? How would you like for her to reinstate that support system?
Endless compassion.
Endless compassion. So like maybe they're just so moved. Maybe like the sky just like.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be affected by so yeah. So like just being there for people.
Oh yes, the people on Earth. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
I would want her to recruit the deities who didn't care about the world to hold up the sky for everyone.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Accountability, right? Like, by standards, no. I really like that. Thank you. Maybe one more?
Time travel, where she like creates a rift in time and it turns into a portal, and they go in, and it's before they start the argument.
Oh yes. One getting like everything everywhere vibes.
Yeah.
We need Michelle Yeoh to be
Wow.
Am I allowed to say this on?
Yes.
Oh, Michelle Yeoh to be Nuwa. Oh, I like that.
Oh my gosh.
I should be a screenwriter. With all of your help. Well, thank you again for indulging me with your imaginations, and I know that our imaginations are on fire now, so that means we are thinking very creatively together as a community. So thank you for that. But now I'll tell you what actually happens. She goes and she's a goddess, but it's very difficult trying to find a solution by yourself. And again, she's like arts and crafting, like trying to find a solution. And she comes across this ancient giant turtle named Owl. And the turtle's just watching her like frantic, trying to she's giving it her all to save the people on Earth so that they can have a better life. And so he this kind of melody kind of ties in with what you were talking about. He reaches out to her and said, hey, it's okay. It's okay. I will help you. You can take my legs and prop up the world. You can take a part of me and support the Earth that you so lovingly created. And she said, are you sure? Like, is that okay? And he says, yeah, like, I'm very happy to make that sacrifice. And so, this is mythology, the turtle's fine. The turtle's fine. Again, you can use your imagination, he grows like another 4 legs or something. But he gives what he has to her, like these very important appendages, right? And she takes them and props up the sky. And the pillars go up, the gods are watching, and I imagine that they're ashamed and learning from their example, and all the cardinal directions are supported, and because the turtle's legs are uneven, that's why the Earth is at a tilt. I was like, wait, this is myth. We knew that the Earth was tilted even back then. So that is the end of the story. And if I can indulge in just one last question. because this was about taking something you have and supporting perhaps a cause you had no idea about. Like the turtle had no idea what Nuwa was doing until she came across her. So my question now is, what can you do? One small thing from you. What can you do to support, for the theme of today, AAPI women creators in their journey forward? One thing. One thing that you know that you can do.
Maybe like buy their albums or their artwork.
Yes, please.
What's the here?
Oh, thank you. But no, yes, please, be our collectors, be our cheerleaders and supporters, and actually, I can't say enough how that is so important, because whatever you pay for the artists, it's not just the emotional and mental support, but you're actually making sure that they can live and survive. It's not easy being an artist. We often have to choose between being creative and honoring our calling and needing stability and security in our lives. So when you do purchase an album or artwork, what have you, and you donate to organizations like AWA, APIC, and Manila Town, you're ensuring the survival of artists in the local Bay Area and beyond. Thank you so much, Ashley. Maybe at least two more? Make sure you're behind the wall and you're raising your hand, I can't call on you. One small thing that you feel like you could do. Oh, yes.
Listen to them when they have ideas that they haven't flushed out or acted on quite yet.
Yes, please. And like, you made me feel all these certain emotions, because oftentimes I feel like sometimes for me, I don't always want to share until I know exactly how I can complete it, because I'm not sure if anyone would want to listen. So if you go up to an artist and say like, hey, like, what are you working on? And they're like, nothing, like, this is a side project. It's, no big deal, it's not important. Don't let them get away with that. Don't tell them like, no, like, what you do is important and I want to listen. It might take a couple of tries because imposter syndrome is very real. But yes, I think that's one of the most powerful things, and one of the most, it's priceless and it doesn't cost anything. So thank you for that. One more, maybe? And then I'll hand it back. Yes.
Social media posting from shows like this, like Women's Thing, like on your social media to feature current and past AAPI women artists and their work. So your thing.
Yes, I can't agree more with that, because I do a lot of communications, and as an artist, you have to promote yourself, right? And it can be very tiring. And so if you're able to, on social media, because things can get viral, it's a really important form of communicating with one another. It's an educational tool. I find social media as an educational tool, and it keeps people in the loop about news and current events, right? You have to be careful with it, but it is a huge source of information and learning. So if everyone shares, that means you're reaching a whole, like, you can reach people across the country, like around the world, and they'll know about you, even if you come from a small town. So thank you very much for that. That's also a way to support AAPI women artists without, like, it's priceless and it doesn't cost anything.
So how do we tag tonight's show?
Oh, well, thank you. So I've been using the hashtag West of Paradise. And then also Realms of Courage. If you tag Realms of Courage, you immediately see the 15 Asian women composers. And last spring, we did a whole panel where people could get to see them and ask them questions, and it was amazing. And also, if you tag AWA and APEC and the I Hotel Manila Town, like people will see these organizations and see what they're doing with their, their festival calls and their auction and ways to donate. So hashtags and tags. Thank you so much. Yes. So that concludes my storytelling and facilitation of this wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for listening to me, being so patient while you're in your seats and not not running towards the buffet and being like, I don't want to listen to her. So you, in fact, have gifted me with your listening, with your compassion and empathy, and also with your imagination and creativity. I think we did something very marvelous tonight, very magical. So thank you very much.
Before you all leave your seats, thank you all so much for coming. Give it another huge round of applause for Angela. What an amazing story night. I just want to say, if you do want to support Asian American women artists, like Angela mentioned, we have our auction. I forgot to mention that if you bid on some of the artwork featured in the auction, some of the artworks, a percentage goes back to the artist too. So please support the artists in our auction and for AWA to keep doing more exhibitions like this. And speaking about exhibitions like this is the first of, we hope, many solo exhibitions and opportunities that we'll provide for artists like Angela. So with that, we wanted to pop some champagne. I'm a little nervous because I've never popped champagne before, so bear with me.
Tell people to spray it.
So please feel free to mingle. I forgot to bring a cup to pour a glass, but we have some other bottles for everyone. So yeah, cheers everyone. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you. So great and entertaining and engaging. Oh, okay. Yeah, great job. Can I give you a hug? Oh, yeah.
Cups. I don't know where the rest of them
Yeah.
Here, let me just gently.
I'll pour you the first glass.
Oh, okay. I should pour you the first glass. Oh my God.
No. You're the one tonight. You're the star.